goodness.
2010 marks the 60th anniversary of the very first season of the FIA Formula One World Championship. And in Bahrain, the most impressive historic racing car collection ever seen was assembled as a truly unique tribute. But it wasn't just about the cars. 18 out of the 20 surviving world champions were reunited for the first time ever. Many got the opportunity to take their title-winning cars out for a spin as part of the once-in-a-lifetime reunion.
Jodie, welcome back to the Formula One pit lane. It's very difficult to make comparisons over the 60 years of Formula One, so can you tell me what made your era great?
Me? No, I mean, I think all the eras were great in their own way. I suppose when I look at these older cars, these were the cars when I was growing up as a young guy, and I suppose I have more affection for the cars that were before my era.
Well, I think every era has their own good sides and bad sides, you know. I don't know any other era, so I obviously like mine, you know.
I think the sheer competitiveness of, I mean, you had 36 cars qualifying for 26 places on the grid. So it was a time where it was the most competitive. There were 7, 8 world champions racing together. So the first thing you had to do was actually pre-qualify and make sure you got in the qualifying session. So 10 cars used to go home before even qualifying started. So it was a tough 10 years.
Well, I think, you know, was when to me Graham Hill, Jim Clark, Jack Stewart was the big names. I just joined Formula One beginning of the 70s. And great names together, you know, so many great champions, you know, Niki Lauda, Carlos Reutemann, Clay Regazzoni, Jack Stewart was the toughest one to me.
I think the camaraderie, the people, I mean, we went on holiday together, we lived together, I shared an apartment with Jim Clark. We travelled everywhere we went on holidays. So I think there was a closeness then, an intimacy. The cars changed, but the people don't.
I think the main thing about it was we had enormous crowds. Went along to places, Nürburgring and things, that had 150,000 people. And it was a somewhat, although the tension and the seriousness of it was just the same from a driver's point of view, there was slightly less officialdom and a little more relaxed atmosphere, and it was perhaps more attainable by the enthusiasts.
I think we all had a wonderful time, and we remember our eras, if you will, you know, with great fondness. I think the heritage of Formula One is so rich. A lot of it is displayed right here, and it's wonderful that they decided to commemorate this anniversary and get all of the living champions together, because we just don't see each other. There's no other reason to do that, so it's just really wonderful moments here.
What's about your fondest memory of Formula One, of your time driving?
Oh, that's difficult to say. Probably the first Formula One Grand Prix I won at the Nürburgring.
To win the first World Championship in Monza with Colin Chapman, with the chassis number 5. That's exactly the same car, and Clive Chapman's here, the Chapman family. Hello, Hazel. You are in England. God bless you and your family. Hazel Chapman.
obviously clinching the World Championship. You know, that's the ultimate goal. So we've been lucky to do that. And then had the opportunity to drive against such greats in the sport over the years.
Nigel.
Which of the cars that are here would you have liked to have had the opportunity to drive?
It would have been Mario's 78 Lotus, definitely. Because it was quickest by a country mile, and I still think it's the most prettiest Formula One car ever built.
All of them.
Those which were the winners.
I don't know, I suppose the Mercedes of it.
I think I'm doing it. I think I'm sampling the thin wall back in the 50s and 60s, and I've never driven a car like that. And it's pretty scary to be in a totally open cockpit, no seat belts, and you lean out the car, and and the tyres are only this wide, drum brakes, so I'm going to have an experience of a lifetime today.
So how did that first run feel back in the car?
I feel home again. It feels like my office. I talk to him and he talks to me. We know each other so well.
My first thought in the garage, you know, I won't be able to drive this. The pedals are so narrow and everything, but after half a lap, it just falls in place like you've put an old glove on, you know. And it was quite fascinating how fast you get used to it, you know. But I'm glad it wasn't more than 3 laps. It was enough, you know. You start getting a headache, you start getting dizzy, your neck starts hurting. The braking, even if you're doing just like this, and the acceleration, is just something, even in these old cars, which one is not used to it. You know, it pulls the brain on the back of your skull, and it's not comfortable.
How does it feel to be surrounded by all these Formula One greats?
Well, it's sort of like, I suppose, coming home in a way, because it's not only with persons of both my period and also after, but also with the machinery.
And I have to ask you, of course, you're the only man to have won the World Championship on 2 wheels and 4.
Yes.
So which is it, bikes or cars for you?
Well, when you sit on a bike and you come together with it and you have such control over it, that's very special. But whereas you can get that on most occasions with a bike, it's just occasionally on a car where it all comes right and everything else where it feels just as good as that. So probably on the edge, the bike.
So Jackie, how was that?
Well, it was a fantastic feeling, first of all, to be reunited with the car, the Matra, which I won my first World Championship, and then to be with Mario, to be with Emerson on the track, to be with Jody, to be with John Surtees, all people I raced against. I mean, it's never happened before in the history of motor racing. I think Bahrain's done a fantastic job to bring all this together. Bernie supplied some wonderful cars, and all the owners have brought their cars. It's a unique occasion, and I thoroughly enjoyed it.
As soon as the checkered flag falls, the teams turn their focus to the next event. And with the next session starting just 4 days later, nearly 700 kilometres away in Monaco, a different kind of race begins.
We've got 5 trucks that need to get from Barcelona to Monaco. They all have different roles. Principal one is a setup truck to get down there as soon as possible so we can start the build. And Monaco on its own, it takes quite a bit of planning. Obviously we're being with the back-to-back. We're arriving there a good day and a half later than we normally would. In the past few years we've gone there on a Saturday and started work on a Saturday afternoon, which now we're going to arrive on a Monday. So we're on the back foot, but it just means a few longer hours and a few more people working.
On Sunday night it's a normal pack down, so we start straight after the race or sometimes during the race. We should be finished by midnight. The truck should arrive in the pit lane at 8 o'clock Monday morning, and then we start the setup in Monaco.
Into the pit lane we can only get 1 truck at a time, so until that one's emptied and we've moved it to a parking area. The parking areas themselves are spread out through the whole of Monaco. There's various different places, so it's quite a tight movement and you need drivers and people in different places at the right time.
With the logistics involved of getting all the trucks parked up in the areas around Monaco in the time that we have, and organising the 20 people that do the setup plus the 16 to 18 drivers of the trucks, you have to be on top of everything, otherwise it all goes wrong.
The stopwatch started at the Circuit de Catalunya.
That's us. Barcelona race over, packed up. Time is 11:30, and we're just pulling out of the circuit. The setup truck that we're driving will live up in what's called the La Pêchère car park, which is the multi-storey at the top of the hill underneath the palace. I'd love to be able to do this race as a punter. It really would be quite fun.
Sitting in the back of somebody's yacht drinking champagne.
Yeah, that would be nice.
It's 3:55 a.m. nearly. Hope you woke me up. Sorry for my turn to drive. Not that I really slept that much with these early driving.
Easy.
So he informs me that we are about 320 k's away from Monaco, apparently. We've just stopped to fuel up. It's 7:40, and we're about 55 kilometres away from Monaco. Given what the time is, we've decided to go and go to the truck wash as originally planned, because we're not going to get into Monaco before the hour curfew between 8 and 9 for trucks. Just over 3 hours driving, so probably got about another half hour, just under maybe, to the truck wash.
We go to a circuit and we go in and we park in the rear paddock and we wash down all the trucks and get them all polished and everything so they could go onto the into the paddock. But at Monaco you're not allowed to do that.
We went to the truck wash, the meeting area, but it's already quite full, and as soon as we want to get down to the into Monaco as soon as possible, we've been a little bit sneaky and we've asked this hotel if we use their water in their car park, which they've allowed us to do. So we've sneaked down here and we're just going to give the truck a quick sploose and then make our way into Monaco.
There's Chris, Franco, Derek and James. Good journey?
Yes, lovely. Fantastic.
Good, glad to hear it. There's another Renault just turning up, along with the two in the car park in the corner. they've been up to the truck wash and come down. I think we might be going for a cup of coffee in a minute, and then we'll sort about going up to the circuit itself, where we've got to go and start unloading. So I'll sign off now and speak to you later. So we're just approaching the exit of the motorway that will lead us down into Monaco.
The problem is when we start going down into Monaco, that's tight. And you know, it's small and it's certainly not built to take these things. The trailer on this is a considerable amount of money. It sits very low, and it's you have to be quite delicate going through péages.
It does help sometimes to get a police escort into these places, because it can take nearly an hour sometimes to get down from where we came off the motorway into the centre of Monaco, because the traffic is quite busy even when it's not rush hour. Great view.
And here we are at the entrance to the pit lane. Went more or less to schedule. I thought we'd get away about 10 after 10, about half 11, quarter to 12, but they did quite a bit more work on the cars than they originally planned, so they were in a better shape when they arrived here. We're going to shoot off now. It's not at 7 o'clock yet, so it's not bad. I mean, in previous years we've took 3 days to do the same as what we do today.
Good morning, it's 7:30 on Thursday morning in Monaco. It's been a long and hectic few days since Monday, but we managed to get everything ready. If you want, I'll show you around the garage, show you what we've achieved in the last 3 to 4 days. The cars are ready to go. Finished about 10 o'clock last night. Everything with all the new Monaco parts on, all are happening, and hopefully we'll have a good day running today. As you can see, it is quite restricted for space. And they give us this area out the back, just in front of the start-finish straight, which is where we put all the tyres and extra equipment that we need. As you can see, the tyre men are in. They're the only people that are in early in the morning as well, prepping the tyres for the day, getting the temperatures on, because it takes a certain amount of time to get the tyres up to temperatures. So they're always in first, along with me. Gearbox and engines around here is another area that we try and create as much space as possible. If you want to follow me upstairs. Okay, this is where you can take your cup of tea, looking over the pit lane. This is the pit lane for the races, where you see during the week the cool cars, everybody walking past, so it's quite a good place to people watch. So this is where you take your tea. This is radios in here. All our electronics and computers are in here. And this is the pit wall. Obviously you normally see it on the pit wall at European races and overseas races, but here we bring it upstairs. So we have a large frame that we use on a forklift to bring it all up here. So make life as easy as possible, keep health and safety happy. This is the spares, hydraulics, and the fuel analysing machines. And to finish off, we have an area for the VIPs. This is where the VIPs come and stand and enjoy Monaco. So it's now, like I say, 5 minutes later. The boys will start arriving at 8 o'clock, and we'll be ready for P1 at 10 o'clock. So hopefully we'll have a good day.
Since Fernando Alonso arrived in Formula One at the start of 2001, he hasn't stopped making an impact. But after racing for 4 different teams, he seems to have found his spiritual home at Ferrari.
This team is huge. This team is very professional, very talented as well. With all the people I'm working now, they are teaching me always new things. Every day I learn something, and they are very clever, so I'm improving as a driver. I think every time I speak with them, every day I call them, it's just to push all the engineers, the designers, everyone in the team to win races, to win championships. So I think this brings a motivation to the team as well, because they know that I wake up every morning thinking of winning, and they know this, so I push them. Feeling very comfortable with the team, feeling at home from day one, and for me as well it seems like years now.
Fantastic job, mate. Fantastic job.
I like the pressure. Being just a driver and just arriving to the weekend with no expectations or with no motivation is the worst thing that can happen to me. So here in Ferrari also I like the atmosphere, and I like so much the team, because every time or every circuit we arrive, we have to deliver, we have to win, and I like this. Every team I went, I had good relationship, but there are always 4 or 5 people around me that has been with me many years, and they know me very well, and I know them as well. So just looking each other, we know what we need to do.
The relationship between a driver and his race engineer can make the difference between a good performance and a great one.
The character of my engineer Andrea has been one of the good surprise for me. The approach of the weekend and the approach of the race from him, always very calm, always trying to help the driver. He seems to choose the right comments or the right information to me, just to help me to stay calm, and to help me sometimes to the opposite. If he sees me very calm, he tries to motivate me to push, because he knows that it's important part of the race. I'm feeling great with him.
It's important we keep gaining on Hamilton. Okay, there is a slow car in front, so I want you to be very wise and cool now. That was very good, very good.
So where does his future lie?
At the end, I think I arrived now definitely in the last step of my career now in Ferrari, with the best possible abilities and the best possible concentration, more mature. So I think overall I arrived in the perfect team at the perfect moment, feeling very well, and hopefully stay like this for many years.
There you go. Look how close these cars can drive. They can drive, yeah. Amazing, isn't it? Wow.
It's gonna get more and more exciting, the championship.
Is it possible to be equal? The championship?
No. Can only be one winner.
That's when they go on, obviously. Yeah. That was the one interview they... Oh. Wow. This is sick. 130 hour. Mate, look how big the cars look. Oh, this one they crashed, isn't it?
What do you think? Who do you think Seth's fault was?
Mate, in those
so
things.
Quick. It looked so quick, didn't it? But he looked like he was halfway up him.
He did, didn't he?
Yeah.
He just didn't see him, did he?
No.
Look at this thing get up. It's so sweaty. Doesn't DC look young?
No. Oh yeah, I was about to say. You know what I was about to say? They look like lovers. Look how loud those are.
I know. Mate, V10s are amazing, aren't they? Oh, you didn't race V10, did you? Man, they had to do all that stuff as well. It's not just us. It's great seeing footage of drivers behind the scenes, because most of the time you see a straightforward interview, but when there's two drivers, you do give a little bit more in an interview, I think. You're both obviously opinionated. So we're pretty opinionated, aren't we?
Yeah. Well, if you just think about watching that with the older drivers like Gerhard and Senna and when Senna and Prost were together, you know, in years to come, there's going to be some young studs sitting here watching us. Oh, I'm not looking forward to that.
We were at the factory not long ago, looking at a lot of the cars from the 80s, the 90s, and I tried to get into the MP4, but I don't quite fit. I'm a little bit too tall.
Dangling out the top of it, the steering wheel's down here.
My head's in the airbox, so yeah, it's a bit annoying, so I'd love to drive that car. I've got great memories of that car in the 80s. So I was eight years old. I just
had to put a wing on your head.
I know, yeah. All right. I heard the footage of him driving around for the 4-4, and it sounded like a little girl.
I haven't even seen it.
You don't want to make it sound like a little girl.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Shoot. Screaming. Kid with a new toy.
We're going to make sure we film you when you drive it and see how friggin' much you scream. It was amazing.
I don't know, it's very difficult to get two different personalities in Formula One, because you're all hungry for success, you're all confident in your ability, and you're all, you know, you really want to succeed, you're competitive, so it doesn't matter who you are, you always have that in your blood when you're racing in Formula One. Otherwise you would never get to the pinnacle of motorsport, which is Formula One. You know, there are certain things that are different, like the driving style that we have is different. And a few other
on paper it's not though, is it?
No, it's weird.
When you
trace
when you print it out on an overlay, it looks like we both drive exactly the same.
But when you watch it on TV, it looks very different. So yeah, they're obviously always going to be different. We're not the same people, but you know, every driver in Formula One is hungry for success. But I think the important thing is that we're both open and we express ourselves, and I think that is important when you're both very competitive people. Yeah, you need to talk, and you know, like in Turkey, we were very close, coming together, and we talked about it after, and I think that's important to get out in the open. And
the team orders thing, if we had that, I think it would make us less powerful as a team, personally. And there's no benefit. There's no benefit either. I don't think there's any benefit. We both get the best of the best for us, and to both win the race. So it's, yeah.
And I think also that, you know, if one of us was given team orders, you know, we wouldn't feel the same again within the team, and our feeling and our passion to succeed within the team over that season would not be the same. It works for us, and if you lose the championship by 1 point, you lose the championship by 1 point, and it's happened before for Lewis, and because they were playing fair, and it's the way it should be. You know, you win the championship and you win it on the correct terms, I feel, and that's the way to do it.
Well, he's only been here for
Oi, I'm part of the team.
3/4 of a year. So.
Cheeky, isn't he?
It's only been here 3/4 of a year, but no, I think this is a great partnership we have. I think it seems to work well, and we get on well, and whilst we would obviously prefer that we had an even faster car than we already do, and be much further ahead, still we're enjoying the experience and the battle.
Mega job, mate. Where you are, good job, mate.
For me, it's very special, sat here, because I have only been here for sort of 9 months, but I really do feel part of the team, which is always important, especially for me in my racing. I need to feel that I'm part of a team, and I know you're not comparing, but putting us in the same sentences, greats like Alain Prost and Ayrton Senna, we have not achieved anywhere near what those guys have achieved, and we've won a world championship, which is amazing in this sport. We know how difficult it is. But those guys went on to win it sort of 3 or 4 times, and that's staggering. And hopefully, from my point of view, hopefully I can achieve what those guys have achieved in their career.
Tyres have a huge impact on the performance of a Formula One car, so it is vital for the teams to understand how to optimise them. 4 different compounds of dry tyre were produced for the season, and Bridgestone decide which 2 they bring to each event, based on track surface and layout, as well as general weather trends and accumulated circuit data. Both of these specifications must be used during the race. One of the biggest challenges for new teams and new drivers is getting to grips with so much tyre data.
We've been working quite hard since the start of the year to understand the tyres, and the tyres are quite important in the racing. I think they're the single most important part of the car. So it's not easy. Of course, everybody has the same challenge. So for the first year, it's a big learning curve.
Coming from GP2 is a huge benefit because we use tyres which maybe not the same, but they're similar. They're made by the same manufacturer in a similar way. So the feeling that you get from the tyre in a GP2 car and a Formula 1 car is not too dissimilar. Obviously, the last finer details, you do rely heavily on the engineers as a rookie to help you out with that.
So what is the role of the driver's engineer, and how crucial is he in helping a new driver get up to speed with the tyres?
Basically, we just explain them mainly on the braking and entry of the corner, on the corner phase. The problem is the limited amount of testing, especially for us here at Spain, that we went straight to the first race. So that was a bit hard for us. But then just going through some data from the first free practice on the way, how they need to apply the brake pressure, how they need to come into the apex, and then giving the warm-up for different compounds, different tracks, and the way how they need to warm up the tire. And then when you have got graining, how they can avoid this or reduce the amount of graining. Information like that, really. And they're just learning, I think, very quickly.
What about the role of the driver?
At the end of the day, the only person in the car, feeling the tyre and feeling what the tyre does in each particular corner or part of the lap are the drivers. So the engineers do rely not only on the information they get from the car and the various channels of telemetry, they do rely heavily on us, because a lot of it is confidence as well. A driver, if he feels confident with a particular tyre, then you can just get that last 2 or 3 tenths more out of it in qualifying, even if it's not theoretically the best. So, it is always important, and the engineers always call on us to make a final call.
The medium and super soft tyre compounds available in Canada, combined with the abrasive track surface, made for a very challenging race for the teams.
I think a track like Montreal, with its low roughness and very soft compounds, it makes the racing very interesting and a good challenge for the engineers to just try to find a way on the setup and the direction of the car to make the tire work better.
It was my first time in Canada, and I had a big war with making the car work, the tires properly. Each different compound had a very different behavior on the track. And as a driver, you want to push a lot, but if you push too hard, then you destroy your tires, and the degradation is huge. If you don't push enough, then you don't work the tires, and then you don't get the temperature, you don't get the grip, and it's been really, really hard for us to be in the first year. I think I've learned a lot about tires there, and I've used the experience from Canada towards the other races.
The track surface in Montreal is quite unique, and that meant that the tyres were graining a lot on the top surface. Yes, it's difficult because you've got to manage the tyres and the car's sliding around a lot, but I think that's the challenge of Formula One.
This tyre is good.
Mark Webber's 9 years in Formula One have proved that he is a fighter. His resolve and ambition were evident throughout his time at Minardi, Jaguar and Williams. But it wasn't until he persevered at Red Bull that his determination finally paid off.
My first contract in Formula One was for 3 races, with Paul Stoddart and Minardi. Obviously it was a very, very small team, very limited finances against all of the big guys at that stage. So the first race was certainly very enjoyable, and it went our way. Obviously a lot of attrition, and we managed to finish in a good position there. But from then, obviously that gave me a great sort of sense of experience in that situation, and then moving to other teams from there. And yeah, it's been a journey, as you say. I think the Australians are pretty famous for supporting their people, especially when we have events at home. It's a bit harder for them to support Australian men and women, particularly when they're abroad, because whether it's time difference, whether it's some sporting events aren't that easy to follow. So they really embrace it, obviously, when it's on our doorstep, and when we have big days down there, the atmosphere is generally pretty good. 2010 has been a very special year for me, a lot of amazing memories, of course, which I'll never forget. Started in 2009, obviously the team performing at a very high level at Red Bull, and we put a lot of effort and work into it. It's taken a few years. Now we're on the back of those sort of arduous hours and all the toil we put into some great results fighting against the top teams. So it's Monaco, there's been several races which, as I say, have been extremely rewarding for me, and I hope the season can finish as good as we hope it can. When you can't win races or score podiums, it's about maybe trying to get points, or for sure trying to be the best driver within your own team, making sure you're doing the best job with the equipment that you have. So readjusting your goals is very, very important when you really aren't in the chance of winning. And doing everything I can, physically and mentally, to be prepared as best as I can. I don't want any regrets to say that I could have done this or I could have done that, when I'm sitting at home on my rocking chair and, didn't have any real regrets to give it my best shot. If I give it my best shot and I get beaten, then that's fair enough.
In recent years, the focus in F1 has been on the young drivers coming through. So what does Mark think of experience as well as youth battling it out for the 2010 title?
Well, I think that we saw before, as you said, the Lewises arrived, even Fernando to that point. The early 2000s, there was a big influx of very, very, very quick young guys, like you say, in their early 20s, 23, 24, off the back of what Michael did. And then even in the 90s, we had some very fast guys of the early 90s with Ann Senna and Prost and those guys, and Mansell. They weren't young, so I suppose you can call them men, real men. So. And then we had some boys arrive, but fast guys. They were a lot younger. And now, I think with the lack of testing, there's a few things which have helped. I suppose a little bit of the experienced guys, capitalise on some new regulations, and Jensen certainly drove very well last year. And we've seen this year we've had many different drivers of all ages and levels of experience can win races. So that's how it's been. I think there's going to be some stressful times this weekend because some of the decisions could be even bigger because of the weather. But we have a sensational team of people. From the cockpit, I hope I can do my bit as well and stay cool and just get the result at the end. It's going to be a very rewarding Grand Prix. It's a long one here. Always goes the 2-hour distance, so it's a very testing race, and it's another one, key part of the jigsaw for the championship.